Nigeria's capacity for rice production received a boost with the coming on stream of the 32 metric ton per hour rice mill at Imota by the Lagos State government. Hello and welcome to this special edition of Focus On, where we will be putting a spotlight on the recently launched Imota rice mill. I'm Akin Obakeye. Now, the rice mill, standing on an area of 8.5 hectares of land, has been built with an annual paddy requirement of over 240,000 metric tons to produce 2.5 million 50 kg bags of rice yearly. Now, according to the Lagos State government, this initiative will address the rice insufficiency in the country and open the door for 250,000 direct and indirect jobs to Lagosians. The long-awaited rice mill located in Imota, Ikorodu, a suburb of Lagos, has finally come to stream. A great news for the people of Lagos and Nigeria, considering how much rice is consumed. President Muhammadu Buhari was on ground to inaugurate what is regarded as the largest mill in Africa and the third largest mill in the world. He did this in the company of the state governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and other dignitaries. The Lagos rice mill Imota is a 216 metric tons per hour mill standing on an area of 8.5 hectares of land.
In terms of addressing food insecurity issues, it just stems from understanding the needs of Lagosians in terms of demand versus supply. For the demand of rice, particularly for Lagosians, it's over 1 million tons. And what this mill will serve to address would at least be running at full capacity, be able to cater to about 12 to 15% of the needs for rice in particular for Lagosians. It might look like there's still a long way to go, but then you have rice coming in from other parts of the country anyway. But at least to have the largest rice mill in sub-Saharan Africa sited here in Lagos and addressing such a key staple item, it's a dream come true for many of us. And I believe that having this kind of facility will also spur more processing facilities across the different value chains within the country to be sited here in Lagos.
Now, this is a testament for more investment in Lagos State's agricultural value chain.
So under Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, one of the first things he gave us as a mandate was to draw up a proper strategy around addressing food insecurity, which was why in 2021 we had launched the state's 5-year agricultural and food systems roadmap, which essentially was just to put to bear and to put to the fore to investors, stakeholders alike, the opportunities that are here in Lagos across the various value chains where we have the advantage and where we also feel that if we're able to draw in the youth in particular, we'll be able to make a lot of changes within the food systems. If you're looking at the red meat value chain, there's massive opportunity. We consume the most beef in sub-Saharan Africa. Over more than 50% of what Nigerians need is really requested for by Lagosians. If you're talking about poultry, our demand also is huge. If it is produce like tomatoes, almost 800,000 tons is what is required by Lagosians. But how many processing plants for tomatoes do we really have? If it is cassava, I mean, the demand is huge. Yes, we'll rely on other states in Southwest for cassava, which is processed into gari, but we can do that here as well. But then the other direction that we are also trying to push is we have some of the youngest people, the brightest of minds here in Lagos. So you have a lot of people going into agric fintech, and you have people who are also pushing the narrative, particularly around green horticulture, trying to use technology in a way and manner that you would not have space as a constraint anymore, but with the implementation of technology you can actually still get the yields, you can still get the volume of food you require, and at the end of the day you are enlightening people around how they can also reduce the carbon footprint across so many diverse areas. So drawing in the youth, utilizing technology is one of the key areas that we want to drive, looking at donor agency partnerships as well. So a lot of these multilateral agencies and donor agencies, they have their areas of focus, and we are trying to address that by ensuring that some of our programs are in tandem with what they want to do, so that in terms of partnership, it is holistic And like I said, there's so much more that we are pushing to the narrative and for Lagosians to understand, and Nigerians. Lagos is a land of opportunity. Everything may not be fine 100%, and I don't think you'll find it 100% fine everywhere or anywhere in the world. But trust me, under the leadership of Mr. Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu, we drive ourselves every day to deliver the best under the best conditions as we can. And trust me, we'll get there. We may not be where we want to be, but we are surely far from where we used to be.
With the mill addressing the gap in local rice production, a certain percentage of the market will be covered.
This is a program that had started as far back as 2008 when the Rice for Jobs started. And we started with the cottage mill. We started with the initial 2.5 tons capacity mill on this land. And from there, we had progressed to what we have today, which is the 2 lines of 16 tons per hour. Now, it's a rice program initiative to extend that Lagos State, being an urban area, rice-based. Rice is a staple. Rice is a major crop for us. And at a point, we were consuming over 2 million metric tons of rice, and it takes a substantial part of people's income in the society. Now, the Lagos State population had grown from 2008 to now from about 17 to now 25. Rice consumption also had moved from about 30 kilogram per capita to almost 40 kilogram per person, and we cannot be dependent on importing or dependent on buying from substandard people or from substandard industries. That was why Lagos State government decided that it is important to have this initiative so that we can have price stability, we can control quality, and we can reduce the amount of money going to our various, being used by the citizens of Lagos in the purchases of rice. So with this initiative, this can provide Lagosians 2.5 million bags of 50 kg, which is about 20% of consumption, and we're going to 40% gradually. So it's an initiative that gives quality, that gives stability in price, that gives more money in the hands of farmers, more money in the hands of consumers, because we control a large chunk of the market, and that reduces the cost of which other people can throw rice into Lagos market.
The government rolled out a sustainable plan of trading electronic receipts of the mill on the Lagos Commodities and Futures Exchange. Ikorodu, Managing Director of the exchange, shares how the onboarding of the Imota rice mill on the exchange will drive steady flow of paddy and ensure effective trading of rice contracts on the exchange.
First thing is this is a catalyst development, and this will catalyze the rice value chain, and also is a game changer also in the commodities space. What will happen is that we now have an end-to-end arrangement whereby the paddy is sourced from Nigeria and the head rice is produced from Nigeria. And we're talking about premium rice of the highest quality being produced from this mill. This is also supposed to be the largest rice mill in Africa now, the one of very few integrated mills in Africa and in Nigeria. What is an integrated mill? An integrated mill is a mill whereby you start from the paddy rice, everything goes from dusting to boiling to everything, all the way to bagging and sorting. So if you had entered where the rice production is done, you see about 4 different rice derivatives there. They showed us the head rice itself, which is the premium rice. They showed us the colored rice there. They showed us the broken rice there, and they showed us the rice husk and all that there. So effectively, it's a mill that everything is end-to-end, and it's going to catalyze whereby Nigerians will see that there's a possibility, and other participants in the ecosystem will see that, okay, maybe we should emulate this and build a rice mill also for food sufficiency in Nigeria. The production from the mill is going to be able to just address about 15% of the rice needs for Lagos State alone, not talk of the whole of Nigeria as a whole. So we expect that, yes, it will change it, and a lot of people in the private sector will be able to come in and participate effectively and see that there's a structured approach into agriculture now. There's a de-risked arrangement for you to be able to invest in agricultural commodities and also for the processed commodities also in the ecosystem.
Let me take you now on the commodities ecosystem, considering the fact that LCFE has the plan, to tap into this initiative, considering the fact that as an agricultural produce, there are also plans to also list this as well. So can you give us the scope as to how this is going to work out?
You see, there are two things that are coming out of this particular meal. You have the first side of it, the primary side of it, which is the sports contract, which is for the aggregation of a paddy. That comes for production within the for processing within the mill, and for that, they have their own specification, which is when we talk about world standard, they're talking about the Faro 44 and Faro 52. That's the specification. That's high quality grain, long grain rice there. Then they look at the proper structure to be able to bring those rice into the space. That's one side of it. Now on the sports side of it, sports contracts are tradable on the exchange. So what we're just trying to do is to put a structure into what used to be an OTC arrangement, over-the-counter arrangement, whereby you can actually buy this same paddy or trade this same paddy through the exchange. What that does is that when institutions and investors see that there's a de-risked arrangement whereby they can participate in the commodity space, particularly in agriculture, they rather just go to the exchange. And I'm sure you saw the SEC DG here today to come and support this event today. Now on the flip side of it also is the head rice. The head rice is almost like the forwards part of the production also. Also for the head rice also, one of the few problems also for manufacturers is also the issue of offtake, whereby you produce and you're able to get your money back immediately. There are some forward contracts also, head rice contracts also, that's tradable on the exchange, whereby people will be able to trade, buy the forward contract rice, so that effectively there's the payback immediately that goes back to the paddy aggregation immediately, and that cycle continues. When you have that in place, it makes it easier for the banking sector, the finance sector to see an end-to-end structured arrangement to participate in the ecosystem. And like we have been doing in the last 2-3 years, we've been able to put a proper structure in place for settlement banks, receiving agents there, the issuing houses, the transaction advisors that are handling it, the dealing member firms, the commodity dealing member firms, all those people are there. And particularly also we have the depository that will dematerialize the warehouse receipts that's issued based on the underlying, which is either the sports, the paddy rice or the head rice, before it's not tradable in electronic form on the exchange. So what we're just trying to do is to make sure that we create an enabling environment, put a structure in place whereby people see a de-risked item, de-risked asset class that they can put money into. A lot of investors want to go into the agri space, but they don't seem to know how to participate in this space. Globally or in other parts of the world, people have structured products that the underlying and agri commodities and they're participating in it. And this is going to be the first one that we're going to be doing to support that ecosystem and also to create that nexus between the capital markets, the private sector at least, and the public sector to be able to create support for the commodities ecosystem.
With the coming on stream of the rice mill, Nigeria's capacity for producing local parboiled rice has been boosted by the rice mill, and this is also expected to help curb smuggling. As Lagos State moves to lead the charge for a rice revolution, Lagosians expect to feel the immediate impact in pricing, quality, and availability. Well, that's all we can take. Until next time, I'm Akin Obakeye. Thank you for watching.